Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and then we're looking this time at Nevada, which really wasn't considered to be much of a swing state earlier in the year, but it's trended that way a lot. And then I have what I call the second tier of swing states, and that would be Minnesota, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Virginia, and Maine. And based on what we're seeing both out of polling and some of the early voting, I think it's fairly safe to say that a lot of these states are in play. Does that mean that Donald Trump's going to win them? I don't know, but they're certainly within play. So if we're ready over there, we ready to go to Seth? No, we're not? Okay. Indiana is closed. Most of the state has closed. I think there's a section of Indiana that doesn't close just yet. And in previous years, one of the counties that has been absolutely key has been Vigo County, Indiana. It was one of those great bellwethers that you could say, whoever wins Vigo is going to win the election. Well, that wasn't true in 2020 for a lot of reasons. So we're going to at least take a look at Indiana and where we're going from there. And so here we go with Seth Keshel at the map.
All right, everybody. So we have results that are currently being imported from Indiana. Indiana and Kentucky are two of the first states that closed their polls, and we're going to wind up being able to make some early assessments on the working class shift in the country. Now, part of what Trump's appeal has been with the working class is that he is now appealing to working class voters of all races. So we are potentially in for somewhat of a map realignment. Now, going across the map, I believe that most of the map, about 2/3 of it, falls into what I call safe electoral votes. I think you've got 219 of those for Donald Trump that are going to go to him by at least 8 points. And you've got 191 that are likely to go to Harris by at least 8, starting in the Northeast. So we have the safe map on the screen. Look, in Maine, you've got 2 votes that are going to be split. One will go to Harris down there in the south, the Congressional District 1. Congressional District 2 in the north will go to Trump. Both are likely to go by more than 10 points to each side. They are the same size. Maine and Nebraska are the only 2 states that split their electoral votes. Moving across New England, New Hampshire is the most Republican of all New England states. I have that as one of the 7 decisive battlegrounds. We'll get more into that later. Vermont, safe Democrat state, used to be one of the most loyal Republican states. And then we have Massachusetts, which of course is a hardcore Democrat state. No Republican has won a single county there since George Bush in 1988. Across the bottom of New England, you have Rhode Island and Connecticut, both likely to be solid for Harris, but the margins may drift. There have been a few close polls in Rhode Island recently and Republican Party registration shift. New York and New Jersey, highly expect them to trend to the Republican right this year. New York does pull the other working class states with it historically, at least since 1952. Obviously skipping over Pennsylvania, one of the 7 decisive states. And then we have West Virginia. West Virginia is likely to go to Trump by an enormous margin, probably more than 40 points. With Virginia nearby is one of the second-class leaner states. Going across the Midwest, you have Ohio, likely safe to Trump, maybe more than 10 points, and Indiana, 16-point win for Trump in 2020, perhaps more this year, and we are looking at Vigo County, as Larry already indicated. Kentucky and Tennessee are going to be reporting pretty quick, should be quick calls for Trump. And down into the southeast, you have South Carolina, which will be a big win for Trump. And then Florida, which now has a 1.2 million turnout edge for the Republican Party over the Democrats in early and election day voting. Across the South, you have Mississippi and Alabama that have voted the same way together since 1872. Trump states, Louisiana, Arkansas in the southeast, Missouri and Iowa working our way up the middle of the country. Iowa, of course, has been in the news with some polling drama, but we work our way west of there, we have the Dakotas. Throughout the middle of the country, you have a streak of Republican states that have been voting that way since 1964, and we make it to Nebraska. Nebraska could provide us with a lot of drama for this election. One of the 2 states, along with Maine, that splits electoral votes. Trump has 4 of those votes safe. One of them in the 2nd district is Omaha, which Trump won in 2016, but flipped to Biden in 2020. Kansas and Oklahoma making their way down south to Texas. Texas has been trending towards Trump in most recent polling. Looks to be at least an 8-point win for Trump. Moving into the Mountain West, Colorado has been a solid blue state since 2008. That will likely continue, but Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Utah are a Republican fortress in the Mountain West region. We have the 2 decisive battleground states, Arizona and Nevada, adjacent to one another, and then the West Coast, heavily Democrat, Washington, Oregon, and California. But California has a lot to say about this fate of the national popular vote. And then closing late, polls will be closing late. Hawaii and Alaska. Alaska likely to back Donald Trump with a ranked choice voting system, and Hawaii likely to go to Kamala Harris. Across the upper Midwest, we have Wisconsin and Minnesota, which are in battleground status, especially Wisconsin. And then in Michigan, of course, Michigan trends with Pennsylvania. Looking to be here with you till 2 o'clock Eastern. We're going to see a lot of this map fill in. Lots of analysis yet to be done.
Thank you, Seth. Awesome job. Great recap.